Right, welcome back. So we have one of the short slots ahead of us, and this time it's going to be about cross-platform F# tooling, and we already have Chris.
Hi.
I think Chris is one before the last people joining us from Europe, so it's pretty late there, isn't it?
It's 10:30, 9:30.
9:30. That's a perfect time to talk about F#.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
So Chris, what do you have for us ready?
So today I will be talking about Ionide, which is cross-platform tooling for Atom and for Visual Studio Code. Yeah, basically it will be
Ionide.
Ionide.
No, I've been really following Ionide since the early days, and
Oh yeah,
it
like
was really great to see. Like I'm using Atom myself, but it was really great to see when the VS Code team announced that they can do extensions. That actually Ionide was one of the first ones coming from the community there.
Yeah, that was really nice. They've let me to access the API a bit earlier before public announcement, and yeah, I was able to prepare release on first day of their support of plugins.
Yeah, so Ionide has been there since the day one. All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to switch back to your screen. We have it ready there, and there you go. You're all ready.
Okay. So hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in, especially in Europe so late. And yes, my name is Chris. You can find me on GitHub. You can find me on Twitter. I'm basically a F# developer doing some boring line of business applications. And by night, I try to, with more or less success, try to contribute to some F# open source projects. And today I'm going to talk about Ionide, which is, as I've mentioned, a package set for cross-platform F# development for Atom editor and for Visual Studio Code. And well, because it's like short presentation, I will just like start showing demos. Everything today I will be showing in Visual Studio Code, but most of the features are also working in Atom editor, and yeah, probably as much people are using Ionide in Atom as in Visual Studio Code, so that's not really a problem.
Can we just interrupt a bit? Could you make the font size a bit bigger? Just make it, increase the font size. The screen resolution's all right.
Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much.
Okay. So let's start with F# data. F# data always makes great demos. And let's start with type providers, because everyone loves type providers. We've seen today some great examples. And yeah, let's start just showing that all features which we would expect from IDEs like Visual Studio or Xamarin Studio are working. So we have autocomplete, even on type providers. We can have some more information about things, just like our normal dot-driven development is working as always. We also have type errors, so it's type checked. If something is wrong, we have errors. We can display a whole list of them. Yeah, we have tooltips, so those basic features which we love are just working. I was inspired by Evelina's talk, so let's try using JSON type provider and access this Star Wars API thing, which Evelina was showing, just to show that everything what Evelina has shown us in Xamarin Studio we could as well do in Visual Studio Code, which is also cross-platform and works on Mac and Linux. Yeah, so that was basically, as far as I remember, that was Luke Skywalker. In Ionide, we can also start REPL, our F# interactive. Oh yeah, obviously something is not working. Never mind. Yeah, I'm using like my development installation of Visual Studio Code, so that's probably why, because something is not working. And let's move forward. Another important thing that we've done, that was like one of the ideas behind Ionide and our integrations, was to support another amazing tooling which is created by F# community. So Packet and Fake. If you haven't heard anything about those tools, there are two web pages: fsprojects.github.io/Packet. Packet is basically dependency manager tool for .NET. It works with Nugget, it works with GitHub, Git repositories, and makes life of every developer easier. It can be used not only in F# projects, but also in C# projects. So it's great way to just make your life as a developer better. And second one is Fake. Fake is F# make. It's build automation system. You basically declare some tasks you want to run during build process. You define dependencies between those tasks, and you run it. So both those tools are usually used as command line tools, but one of the ideas behind Ionide was to integrate those tools with editor, so I don't have to leave editor while performing some operations using those tools. So for example, we can access all Packet commands from editor. Let's check if anything is outdated in my project. All is based on this nice output panel. In Visual Studio Code, in Atom editor, it's a bit different, but basically same information is provided. So normal output we have normally in command line, we have here in editor. We don't need to move anywhere, change windows, or we can just do everything from editor. And fake integration. Fake integration lets us to choose from all targets we have defined in our build script, and yeah, let's just run one. And again, all informations which we normally have in command line are displayed here, and we can play with it. Yeah, and now let's slowly move to something more interesting. Another interesting project I really like is FSLab. It's a project which Thomas created with some other few contributors. It's basically a set of libraries for doing nice data operations, charting and stuff, machine learning and stuff like that. And one of the nice features is that from the F# script file, you can produce HTML output, and so you can save this report to show to someone else. Normally, you just write some code, you run fake task generating HTML output, you open it in browser and check if everything is okay. But again, we would like to have this like user experience which is based around editor, not leaving editor and going somewhere else. So we created something called WebView. It will take a moment because all files are generating, but basically right now in the background I'm running fake target, which is generating oh yeah, here it is. I'm running fake target, which is generating this HTML, and I'm displaying this HTML in the editor, so I don't have to leave editor. And what's nice about it, that yeah, I can change my file, save it, and it should, after a moment, it will auto refresh itself. So I have this instant feedback loop for what is displayed in my in my report. So that's really nice. And that's mostly about scripting or those small files, which is great usage of Ionide, and is one of the very important ways people are using Ionide as this secondary editor for scripting or for doing some stuff like that. But I'm also using Ionide with my bigger projects. Oh, I need to increase font here also. This is one of my open source projects. Yeah, it's another interesting project. It's normal F# project. So it's normal F# solution containing several projects, testing and stuff like that based on project scaffold template. And here we can also see that everything in this project, normal fs file, all things are working great. And for example, another interesting thing is that we have even more features, we know from Visual Studio, like a sneak preview of code in editor, or going to the code by doing Control and click. We can find all symbols defined in file, which is really nice feature. We can what else we can do? We can, for example, find all usage of this given symbol in file. So basically we have all features we know from Visual Studio inside of lightweight, more lightweight, not using 3 GB of RAM editor, and that's great. From my point of view, that's great. Yeah, so one more thing, I would like to show one more thing. Which will be, we also introduced in latest release integration with F# formatting, which is another of another of libraries created by Tomasz Petryczek, which takes your F# script file or your markdown file and creates nice HTML outputs. So you have those embedded tooltips in your HTML output and stuff like that. So that's also really nice. And now maybe I will tell a few words about what will come next for Ionide. First of all, we are planning to integrate Ionide with Forge. Forge is my another open source project, which is basically F# command line tooling for project manipulation, for project scaffolding, solution management, and stuff like that. When we are developing in Visual Studio or Xamarin Studio, both those IDEs are doing a lot of things for us, especially for the project management and editing FSProI files. And when you try doing stuff in other editors, Ionide or in Vim or in Emacs, you often have to manipulate your FS project file by hand, and it's not really nice user experience. So we try to create command line tool which will help people do that. And also we will plan to integrate it with Ionide, so we will have this nice user experience as with Packet or Fake, of not doing operations using this tool, also not leaving editor. Another thing we are thinking about is more integration with FSLab. As I've mentioned, I really love library, and yeah, we are planning to expand our F# interactive panel, so you can include charts produced by FSLab in the in the F# interactive panel in the output, so you don't have to, again, to leave editor. You have this more notebook style user experience. Yeah, and last thing I would just before ending, last thing I would like to invite everyone to functional programming on the Slack. It's fpchat.com. It has very active F# channel, F# beginners channel, and also very active communities for other functional programming languages. So feel free to join us and talk about F#.
All right. Thank you very much for the demo. I'll
Yep.
switch back to your camera so that we can see you here again. So we've got a bit of time to chat. So there's actually a couple of questions we've got from the audience. The first one is from Nat, who's asking, I see a lot of Ionide demos using FSX files. Can you also support project files and solutions?
Yes, I've showed it during demo. It's like I'm using Ionide with my normal projects with FS project files, and that's just normal. F# solution based on project scaffold containing 3-4 projects, something like that, and everything is working fine. Usually, there are sometimes some problems with that, but usually, like FS project and MS build system is a bit complex, and that's usually just some kind of mess in FS project file if something is not working. Visual Studio or Ionide are more, they don't break so easily on every error in FS project files. They ignore some stuff if something is wrong. We just don't do this, and usually if someone writes an issue about their FS project files, we try to solve it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Or at least help just modify this project file, because usually that's problem with project file.
And I can confirm that what Chris is saying is true, because I did run into one issue and he was actually able to fix it in half a day, or like before I got to the point where I needed it. So that was pretty good. That's like one thing I really find cool about Ionide, is that it's evolving so quickly. How old is the project actually?
Atom version was earlier. It's about a year now. Well, first versions not released like on Atom Package Manager are about a year old now. It was, I think, first release on Atom Package Manager, so it's like ready to download through Atom user interface. In editor was in May, so 10 months ago. Visual Studio Code plugin is 4 months old, 5, something like that.
Cool. We've got lots of more questions.
That's great.
Well, the first one is on the relationship between Forge and Project Scaffold. So will Forge take place of Project Scaffold, or will they? How will they work together?
We don't know it yet. Project Scaffold is great. It's providing really good template for big projects, and I really will use it for most of my open source projects, because it adds all this nice stuff like packet, fake, F# formatting for documentation and stuff like that. The problem it has, it's always big, it's always same tools, it's really hard to customize it or stuff like that. With Forge, we focus more on two things. With Forge, we focus more on project level, not necessarily on solution level right now. So you scaffold your solution with project scaffold, and you add new projects to this solution using Forge.
Yeah.
Second thing is that we focus also on manipulating project files, so adding new file to the project, adding reference to the project and stuff like that. So that's basically completely different scope.
So it sounds like the two are actually a pretty good fit together.
Yeah,
And
probably.
Project Scaffold is definitely something you would use more if you have like an open source project that you want to put on GitHub.
Yep.
And there is a question about debugging. So Vladimir is asking, What with debug? Can you do debugging in VS Code?
Yes, you can do debugging in VS Code in mono, so on Linux and on Mac.
Well, you can only debug on Linux and Mac.
You should ask guys from the Redmond. You are not so far away, so
Yeah. If you tell me in which building they are, then I'll run after them right after the session. And there's one more question. How about unit test runners? Are there any plans to have Ionide include unit test runners, or are we leaving that to others?
that's one of the things we are thinking about. But right now you can just plug your testing with fake and run fake target for that. Obviously, it's not as nice as having nice user interface for testing like in Visual Studio. But yeah, we are thinking about it. Maybe one day. We are accepting all contributions, so if anyone would like to make pull requests for such feature, I would be glad to merge it.
Cool. Yeah, sounds like that's the best answer we can give. Send a pull request, and then we are going to get it in. And
Yep.
One last question here was, what was the link to the FP chat? So that was fpchat.com, is it? Or
Yes, indeed.
fpchat.com. So if people want to join, fpchat.com is the place. And I think we'll have to move on to the next talk. So thanks very much for joining us. It was really cool to see Ionide, and in general, it sort of fits nicely with what Don was saying in the introduction, that there's lots of open source activity happening to support F# across multiple platforms, be it Ionide or Xamarin. So it was really, really cool to see this live. Thank you.
Thanks and bye.
Goodbye.